to individuals that do not live in District 6 but are interested in this topic. Because remember in 1982, and if you weren't alive in 1982, don't say a word. But in 1982, when the mall first opened, we were so excited. And when we heard about the mall being redeveloped, excitement started all over. Today, I wanted to provide a forum, and it's not my idea. So I sent out a survey, and you all chose this topic. You all chose this topic. 80% of the people that participated in the survey said they wanted to hear about an update, what's going on with the mall project. So you all are here because you want to be here. I'm happy about that. I didn't want you to go home, so that's why I said doors open at 5:30, sharp time at 6. So I provided light refreshments.
Thank you.
So help yourself. I didn't want anyone to starve because I get angry when I'm hungry, so I didn't want anybody to feel the same way. So we will get started right away. I just wanted to start by introducing our panelists, but before I do that, let me just share just a little history. Since I've been in office, I've tried everything in a variety of ways to get caught up with the project. And if you keep up with the project, there are a bazillion documents, a bazillion. And I've not read all of them, but almost all of them. But I wanted this campus to be here today to actually just talk to you regular and explain the ins and outs of challenges, opportunities, and whatnot. I already said this part, excuse me. So, our panel. The first person we have to introduce, I'm going to introduce, is Brad Griffin. He's a long-term employee of the Athens Clark County Unified Government. He actually retired and was moved back, but I heard he has a hard cutoff, August 1st. May 1st. I wanted to introduce him because he has a lot of knowledge. He's probably worked with a lot of families. His office that he used to work in and run was the planning department. So he is very familiar not only with planning, but the ins and outs of the government. The next individual we have is Johnny Williams from W&A Engineering. He is one of the partners that our next guest relies on in creating his projects. And our next guest, let's all say thank you to Mr. Mark James, especially because I called with two asks. I said, because I got the survey results, and I said, no pressure, but the people want to hear from you. The second thing I said, can I do it at the mall? And he, in negative 2 seconds, he said yes. So that's why we're here, so thank you, Mr. Jennings. And then our fourth guest, who I'm sure is going to fill in, is Mr. Attorney Neighbors. Is that okay? Great. There were some other individuals that were invited to attend but weren't able to make it. Our Economic Development Director and our chair for the Ball TAD committee, I believe they're out of town, so I just wanted to let you know, like, why weren't certain people here? I just wanted to let you know an invitation was extended and they weren't able to be here. So I just jotted down just exactly how we're going to do this. We're going to have Mr. Griffin just generally describe at a very high level a TAD. Spend a few minutes on TAD, what that is, when we started doing TADs in Athens Clark County, and then when he believes the mall TAD started. And then next, I want to hear from Mr. Jennings. I would love for him to share what he shared with me was what his inspiration was and what development project he sees for this space. So and then after that, 80% of the rest of the time is on I want you to have your questions, that's your time, okay? So they're going to speak, introduce themselves, and answer those two questions.
No. There, okay. There.
up here.
I think this will work. If I quit leaning on the cable, I think it would work. I was planning director here for 25 years, worked in planning for 30. I retired last summer and have come back in on a very short time period as a...
Stand up! Stand up! Can't hear you.
Stand up. Better?
Yes.
So I've been with the government for 30 years. I'm currently serving as interim. Can you hear me?
It's not him, I promise. He projects well. It's the cord. I think they're working on it.
Like that? Okay, let's see if this works. I'm currently serving as interim manager only for about another 4 weeks, and then I'm going back to being retired, but I did want to be here this evening to represent the government staff in terms of if there are any questions. As this was going through, from a planning perspective, I was very involved in zoning of the property and the PD aspect. Really was not that involved in the development of, not involved at all in the development of the CBA or the agreements that Mark's going to talk about later. But just in a nutshell, what a TAD is a tax allocation district. There were 6 of them created in 2020. The mall TAD being one of them, and I believe there's a map up over here that shows the boundaries of that. Essentially, what a tax allocation district does is it defines a specific area. It freezes the assessed property tax values at the time of adoption and creation of the district, and then any incremental increases based on improvements, tax values, any that increment above where it was locked at stays in the district and is intended to go towards community benefits. A lot of times you will see it allows sidewalks to be built, beautification projects, trees, things like that, but it also allows for specific projects within that area that are providing community benefits to realize some of that increment as part of their funding mechanism to go into a project. And that was what was so big about this mall project, is there was a significant amount of community benefits built into the project. With that, then if you've got a project that is looking to do that type of financial return, then they enter into an agreement in order to do so. And that's what Mark's going to talk about. He's going to talk about the project, but just very generally, that's what a TAD is. If anybody's interested, I've got some handouts up here. There's 40 or 50 of them, just a little one-pager that explains tax allocation districts generally, and you're welcome to come get one of those out.
Thank you, Manager Griffith. My name is Mark Jennings with the Levin Group. My company currently owns the mall properties, and as you can see, we started Tuesday on our side on the demolition. We'll tear down the old Ford Motor Credit. We'll tear down the GMAC next. We'll tear down the theater while working out all of the intricacies before coming around to probably Sears. But with that said, thank you, Commissioner Johnson, for allowing us to be here today. I'm a private developer, born in Athens, Georgia, currently live in Oconee County, been here all my life, and this is a very passionate legacy project for myself and my partners. A couple of things that do make it to us as private developers for 40 years for me. We're very good at diligently doing what we do. We're very good at diligently working with the government, with politicians, with staff, but we're not good at reporting what we do. I've never had to do that in my 40 years. I've never been a partner with a municipality before, like Athens, Clarke County. So forgive us for not having the foresight to be out front and telling you what we're thinking and what we're planning, because it's just hard. Our business is so fluid. Everything that we do has fluidity. We start on the left and we end up on the right. That's why you don't know many developers. Raise your hand if you know 3 developers. Yep, I don't see any. Oh, you do? Really? Very nice. Not many people do. So anyway, but it's that's the nature of the beast. That's the nature of the business. The first thing that came to me when I talked to Commissioner Johnson was, what's taking so long? What's the holdup? I didn't know there was one. Yes, I do this every day. I'm on my 97th development. Mixed use, subdivisions, hotels, shopping center, all the above. Everything that I've ever touched, the minimum I've ever started from the day I bought the land and started my planning to the day that I broke ground, 3 to 4 years. That's just the nature of the beast. You guys just don't know that because you don't see me on break ground. Normally it's not highly publicized. Normally it's not town hall meetings. Normally it's not commission votes asking for TAD dollars, which is the next question that sort of came to us. What have you done with the $186 million that Athens Clarke County gave you? Anybody read facial expressions? We have zero money from Athens Clarke County. We own them all outright with our money. We have everything that we're doing worked so far. We have zero debt. We have no issues. It takes time to do the legalities of what we're attempting to do, not only for the first time in my history, but the first time in Athens history. Raise your hand if you've done a TAD before. There we go. So that's just where we are. That's just the nature of the beast. Everything that we're doing from the time that we do what we do best, which is plan, purchase, permit. Check, check, check. All done. Nothing else I can do. Not one thing I can do. Now we've got to wait for my partner to get their side worked out, and then we will go to work on it in a big way. So all the small things that I can do on my side, done. All the things that Athens Clarke County has promised to us on our side, done. Again, it just takes time to work out the intricacies of a very complicated 40-year document that no one has ever used before. So I just want to make that real clear. I'm not on the internet. Don't have one thing. I'm not anything, but I do have ears. And the last thing that I heard was, well, some organization in Athens reported that the developer was sneakily meeting with Athens Clarke County to get a bailout. Bailout on what? Again, no debt, our mall, and we've started. So that's where we are. Now, there are some things that we have to work out with Stephanie and the commission so that we can move forward in a big way, because you heard when Manager Griffin said, there's a lot of public benefit in this plan. Now, I'm gonna put that to you in layman's terms. There's some stuff in there they got to pay for. Okay? I want this as clear as I can make it. And there's some stuff in there we gotta pay for. That's what's called a partnership. Public-private partnership. A very, very, very substantial deal. Probably be the largest magnitude deal in Northeast Georgia history, without a doubt, when we break ground. Hopefully this year on tearing down the part of the mall itself. So does that make sense to most people?
Mr. Jennings, I think it would be a benefit if you would share what you share with me about the order and things, the order in which things must be done, the phase 1, phase 2, and that challenge.
I have another one when we come back. What she's speaking of is we have in approving the first TAD for the first time in the history of the government, we all are beginners. Everybody on both sides. I've got one of the smartest attorneys in America from Wild Woods who did the TAD for Universal Studios in Florida and Atlantic Station in Atlanta. Check. Athens has a guy on their side, Dan McCray, who's written and teaches TAD. Check. Yet, when we did the project and we're working through those 90 plus meetings to set a sequence in order, of trust, because that's what you're looking for in a partnership. His job is to make sure that Athens-Clarke County pays me for what I spent. Their job is to make sure that I spend it on the right thing. So that's what that, how many pages that community benefits agreement? 150-page document that says y'all are partners, okay? So that 150-page document, in drafting that and learning that, along with the zoning classification that we had to be in, a plan unit development, locks us in to everything approved at that time by the mayor and commission. Okay? That's a year ago, whenever it was, a year and a half ago. It locks us in, no modifications to anything. Now you start your plans. Plans mean what you guys see are renderings. That's a picture of what we hope to do. What this guy, John Williams at Williams & Associates does is a plan. That's what y'all would call a blueprint, 850 pages. So that's what we've done in the last year, okay? So we did our plans, and we've got our building permit for phase 1. While doing that, following the map that we all agreed to, as far as the timing that Stephanie's talking about, we have learned that, quite frankly, the part that the government has to pay for, the TAD won't pay for. I'll repeat. The part that the government has to pay for, the TAD won't pay for. I'll try to put it to you again in simple terms as I can. If you are going to build a house on a lot, and you own the lot, and you go to the bank, and you say, I need $1 to build this house. The bank says, sure, I'll give it to you, and I'll give it to you in draws, $10 every time you finish something on the house, correct? Well, our phase 1 has no collateral value. Repeat, has no collateral value. Nothing bankable. Detention pond, sidewalks, street tree, traffic circles, etc. Everybody understand? We all agreed to this. So it's not, no one is pulling anybody else's leg. We drew the plan, we agreed to the progress of the plan. The financial markets say, no. If you were to borrow the money from me and stop for any reason, I don't want a pond in Athens, Georgia. I want an apartment building. I want something tangible. I want something I can sell. So one of the things that Brad and I are working on secretly is, this stuff is funny, is changing the phasing to something more marketable. Present progressive. We don't know yet what that is. You can't just snap your fingers and decide. So we will modify the phasing on the plan, go to the financial markets, which are, anybody know anything about politics, an election year, a new president? Oh, wow. Anyway, markets are this. So we'll take it to the market, and the market will say, okay, you own the mall. Check. You have no debt. Check. You have good credit. Check. Your plan is viable. Check. We will loan you X for X many years to get it built. That's what I do every day for 40 years, very well historically. This one doesn't work because the first phase, which is the right side of that plan, everything from the purple over, all the green and the yellow, does not have a building on it. So the banks are like, we don't think we want to play in this one. When y'all figure that out, after the first phase, please come see us. So we go back and we tell Brad and let's work out a way to change it. Sounds simple, but it's not Brad's decision either. So what we have to do is once we figure out the phase, figure out the cost, figure out the marketability, that's the most important one, then we gotta take it back to the commission so they can approve it. Can't just walk that in. That's a 3-step process, I think. Enter it, planning commission, and then a vote. So we expected this on our side. I'm sorry that you guys, don't have the temperament of a developer and the gray hair that I have from a these years of doing this. But again, nothing on our side. We're not panic mode. We're not fearful. Everything that they've done thus far, that they promised to us, everything that they said thus far that they promised us, they've done to the best of their ability. I'm speaking of my partner, Athens, Clark County. It's verifiable that we've done everything. That's pretty easy. You can pull your public records. So with that said, the timeline is fluid as far as when do we start, and it's based on a lot of factors. But I want to go back to that question I didn't answer before she interrupted me. What did you do with the $186 million? What did you do with the $186 million that you got 2 years ago? TAD, Tax Allocation District. I think Brad explained it, but I'll explain it to you in layperson's term. We have to develop it and pay for it. We have to build it and pay for it. We have to get a certificate of occupancy, and we have to pay our taxes. We then get a refund. So therein lies the rub. That's a 24 to 30 month process, of which the first phase on our existing plan doesn't have the third aspect. It doesn't have the marketable TAD increment increase vehicle. There's no building. Make sense? Sounds simple after the fact, doesn't it? Yes, ma'am, next.
So we're going to now transition and segue to questions, and if you will please just come up to the podium, and while you're doing that, I'll just share with you that when I met with Mr. Jennings and his team on Monday, we had a challenging conversation. It wasn't contentious or anything like that, but you know, I'm very much of the thought of preparing for the worst case scenario, and then the best case scenario. Anything in between is a bonus. So we want to hear from you, and if anyone remembers what I ran on, it was 3 words. What was it? Transparent. People over politics. I want to hear from the people. So if you will please come up to the podium and direct your questions. If we have an answer, someone is going to record the questions, but if we don't have an answer today, we will get an answer back to you, and I will publish that in my newsletter that goes out every Sunday night. Okay?
I have a 2-question limit.
You must have known I had 2 questions. How y'all doing? Thank y'all for being here. Thank you for putting this together, Commissioner Johnson. My first question was about the affordable housing piece. You know, Athens is in an affordable housing crisis, and I know you mentioned that you don't really have any definite dates or certain plans of development, but once you start that construction phase of that part of it, do you have an estimate of how much time it will take and what that affordable housing is going to look like or structure? The AMI for the area is a little exaggerated because they include Oconee and other more affluent communities. Is there a way that you can maybe speak to that a little bit?
Yes, sir. First of all, get your information and talk to you about a job after this, please. I like smart people. The first question was about affordable housing. So timing-wise, we don't know exactly, but we're hoping in the next 6 to 12 months we will break ground on phase 1, okay? But to answer your question about the affordable housing itself, it was brought up by then Commissioner Jesse Houle that the AMI average monthly income included some of Bogart or Coney or whatever, which skewed the numbers for the people actually living on the west side of Athens. So after that was brought up to us in one of our 90 meetings, we addressed it by saying, okay, the national average, or most people do 80% of AMI. We modified to 60 to address that. So that will help to if your income is less than what is published, and the 80% you wouldn't qualify, the 60 will make you qualify. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, the affordable housing in this project is homogeneous. So you will be my neighbor paying $2,000 a month. I'll be your neighbor paying $1,000 a month, but you would never know that unless I told you. Okay? Nothing is different. Not gonna be a blue door and a red door to show, I don't make what you make, all right? So it's 100% nothing different. The reason we can do that is because of the TAD. That is one of the 5 or 6 pillars of the TAD. We had to have that affordable housing component to get the TAD approvals and for the community benefit.
And then the last question is related to, you may not be able to answer this, but I know for some public-private partnerships and capital projects, they include 1% of the budget for public art. And again, for public art, yeah, but I believe it's on just like publicly funded capital projects. Maybe Brad might be able to answer that. But I wanted to know if there was going to be any public art components to this development, like any murals or anything like that.
So, we have a lot of planned murals, but that's back to that about getting your number. I live here, I'm here weekly, easy to find, very easy to find, except for calling me. And please feel free to let me know about that. Let me know what that is. The tone and tenor of our group is, I'm gonna be here just as much as everybody else here. I bank right up the street, my office is up the street, my wife's office is that way. So I'll be here just as much as any of you. So we want it to be nice. We want it to be family style. We want it to be the nicest thing in the Athens, Georgia area, period. The nicest thing that Athens has ever seen. So that's our goal, and that's our tone, that's our tenor, and it'll stay that way.
My question is neighborhood specific. I live in Lake Mueller. Just moved here 18 months ago. Can't hear. Okay. I was here when the mall opened. I came to the grand opening. Anyway, I'm a little concerned about, I know the development, whatever you put here, positive or negative, is going to impact my property value in Lake Mueller. There's no doubt. I'm not only concerned about my property value, but I'm concerned about safety, security, quality of life, and liability. So, I don't personally feel it should be up to the homeowners in Lake Mueller, many of us who are retired and on fixed income, to pay for some kind of protective barrier, fence, whatever, wall, because of that lake, to protect us from trespassers coming into the lake and our liability. I don't believe we should have to pay for it. So I'd like to know what you are willing to commit to doing for Lake Mueller to protect her. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. And thank you for being here since the mall opened. I'll tell that story to those who want to stay afterwards, but I was here at grand opening also. We have agreed to, in either the community benefits or in the PUD zoning, to put a fence along our property line between our property and Lake Mueller, which some of ours will be joined by my detention pond to your lake. And I have to fence the pond, and I'll continue to fence all the way to the property line. And then we will landscape that fence with some evergreens. It's in the documents. So it's not tonight's commitment, it's already, yes ma'am, thank you. And your shirt says what? It's already in there, yeah. So what's your shirt say? Georgia Bulldogs? Yeah, my son's a sophomore on the Georgia basketball team. I know y'all didn't come here to hear that, but we went to the NCAA tournament for the first time in 15 years. Yes, we're happy about that. Security? She said War Eagle.
Hi. We live on Cherokee Ridge, right around the corner. So we have many, many concerns. The noise, the quality of air, the crime. Are we going to get signs? How about the traffic? The traffic? How are we going to get out of our properties? What?
Ain't that smart? Let's do one at a time.
Much more.
That'd be better. I mean, really.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll forget the first one.
Okay, the first one was the quality of air, the noise, crime, Is the precinct 13 staying here? Precinct 13, the police, is it staying here at the mall? Okay, I mean, I don't know, I'm just, there's so many people.
Quality of air
Yes, right.
during construction or after it's built?
Actually, both. And what I wanted to say is yesterday I was walking my dog, and there is a building that's being demolished right there by Zaxby's, and there was a lot of wind yesterday. And all the dust, everything was being blown all over the place to include the insulation from the building. Concern number one, was there any asbestos in that building? Because this is not good for our lungs, for cancer. Are we breathing all this mess? I'm sorry, but
I want to answer you
I
about
have a lot of questions.
Yeah, let me answer them all.
Okay, yes, sir. I go sit down.
No, you don't have to say it because you got no questions. So, quality of air during demolition, the wind did come on. That's my crew. That's my personal crew. That's my company. The wind, we got the building down. No wind on the first day. No wind on the second day. As soon as the walls were collapsed, the wind came. I don't quite control that yet, but what we did is we stopped, we covered, and we picked up everything. We stayed there till about dark, if you saw that, being sure we got all the pieces of insulation, everything that flowed. And then today I doubled the dumpsters and I doubled the trucks, and it's all gone. So what we have to do on demolition is we'll be considerate of the weather forecast. I do that every day in my business, and we won't do heavy demo if it's going to be a 40 mile an hour wind. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sorry, I have another question. We used to live near Fort Gordon in Augusta, and they demolished many buildings there. Every time they demolished a building, they put some kind of structure around the place where people were working, so you wouldn't have this stuff blowing all over the place in people's faces. And even my dog didn't want to go there, or, we were like across from it, and she wanted to turn, so.
Yes, ma'am. We have the safety fence up. We don't have a code here. You on a military base probably. We don't have a code here that we have to put up screening on a project that size. If I were demolishing the entire mall, the mass of this, it will require 8 or 10 foot screening, which is what you're asking about. You also asked about asbestos. And so you're wondering, were my guys breathing the asbestos and I was killing them while they were doing their work yesterday? The answer is no. In Athens, Clarke County, by the way, in Georgia, before demolishing any project, I have to do what's called an asbestos study. So the asbestos study is part of a process that was done weeks ago. Then, once we were positive to asbestos, and we have to do what's called an asbestos abatement. That is not me. That was some secret agent-looking ninjas that were here 2 weeks ago with plastic in dumpsters and covered from head to toe, and they removed the asbestos. Then I received my demolition permit in that order. There was one more. I missed one.
Yeah, there was the noise, quality of air, traffic. The traffic. Don't forget the traffic.
Oh yes,
Thousands of cars.
The traffic is my favorite. So.
Not mine.
It's my favorite question. You might notice it's a little bit inconvenient for you all who live here now to come home, because there are road improvements being done at the bypass and the Atlanta Highway as we speak to address the traffic. As a private property owner, part of that is my responsibility, and we have met all of those design standards, and I will have to pay for some of those things on my end of the development. What you see, though, is done by the Department of Transportation of the state of Georgia. I will take credit for one thing. When we closed on the mall, I had a meeting with the Department of Transportation, a one-on-one meeting, to find out about our timeline. Your project to fix the mall, the bypass, was years away, and they brought it up because of this project. Timeline forward.
Also, my opinion is that this is way too many apartments for this area. I would like to see a lot less, to be honest with you, more townhomes. I also would like to see a park for our children. Our children have nowhere to play. They don't. We have Ben Burton in our 30606. Ben Burton has no area for the kids to play. And Ben Burton is also with a lot of erosion. Okay, so we don't have any park here. I would like to see a park. I would like to see lots of trees, native trees, not crepe myrtle / japonica. We want that.
How long have you been here, live here?
I've been living here for 7 years, but I have been living in Georgia for over 30 years.
Okay. The things that you're asking, unfortunately, as I said in my earlier statement, the plan is locked. There's no change that can be made to the plan to decrease or increase, either way. And we had these 6 of these town halls here with Jesse Houle while we were doing the plan. I'm pretty sure some people came to 3 or 4 of them. I see some faces. So that's when we were addressing the concerns of like your concern. I can't change anything on the current plan.
I looked at the maps here. It looks like all of a sudden we are getting an additional 200 apartments from the last time we looked at the map. The map changed like several times. And all of a sudden, here we go, another 200. That's a lot of people. And how about resources like water? Where are we going to get all this water from? Yes, okay, somebody else. But just water, think about that. That's a lot of people, a lot of water.
That's it? I should address two different questions. I think the first one was, is the police presence going to remain at the mall? I have not heard that it's going to move, but I will find out and include that in the newsletter. The second question, I've forgotten already. Oh, yes, so he's just indicated that they renewed their lease with the police department. And
We can't hear.
That was a big issue. The parks. I am so sorry. The parks. She mentioned if there was going to, this young lady, 2 Park Marseille? Alicia Park. She actually asked if there was going to be more green space and park space and play space for our families. And I agree there's not enough in District 6, period. But it is on my top 3 list as a commissioner. So there's going to be dedicated space in the project. But I just wanted you all to know that that I have plans to bring forward some ideas for a recreation, indoor-outdoor space for District 6. That's not at this location, but there is a SPLOST project, I believe it's SPLOST Program 2020, project number 14. But I just wanted you to know that I'm already thinking about it, and I love if you have any ideas, send them to me.
And just to be clear on that one, let me throw her a brand. In my opinion, part of the reason for the tag is for us to change a dying mall, dying tax base, everything that you were afraid of, crime, negativity, everything that you were afraid of, change it to something positive, activate it so that it's not open from 10 to 8 p.m. and then becomes a whatever, whoever knows, and make it a home where people can live, work, and play happily and peacefully and productively, and have people here who could not afford to be here without it. The other part of that is, you're welcome. The other part of that is, the TAD doesn't just affect my private property. As the TAD is paid back for what we do on this property, and the halo effect, which is what they call the adjoining properties, and other people will come and build new things. As all of those under that TAD umbrella are improved, and that tax base improves, that TAD dollars can be used for you to tell her you want a park, because that's what it's for. Make sense? Thank you.
Thank you for coming. You explained everything very well, and I've seen you at several things, and you also explained things clearly, which I appreciate as somebody that's not good with legalese. Secondly, I love, while I'm looking around up here, I see the Youth Forest sign. I love that there is a plan to incorporate the Boys and Girls Club in this area. This side of town needs a Boys and Girls Club. This end of Athens has kind of just been a little behind with things because, you know, we have had a lot of big property owners, and I'm not knocking anybody, just we haven't had a lot of things for the children. So I like that. I also like that there's still plans for the city bus to have a drop spot here, which is very important because it can get people to the parks. If they live here, they can jump on the bus and end up somewhere else. But I just wanted to say thank you. I appreciate you guys. I think the plans are beautiful. I realize that it is inconvenient and scary for taxpayers and people that live here to figure out what's happening. But I grew up here. I was here at opening day. Me and my friends used to walk around this mall like Madonna, you know, back in the Madonna era. So thank you for trying to keep Athens relevant and beautiful.
Thank you, sister. Oh, she's my sister. That's why she talks so positive.
I actually promised my daughter that I would ask 2 questions today. One being, it's a little hard to understand when you look at the pictures how much of the mall is still going to be here. Sometimes it looks like it's only Belk. Sometimes it looks like it's stopping there or stopping here. And so that's the first question was how much of our mall is still going to be here?
John, where's that man? Okay, approximately coming in, everything behind that column, that way is gone.
Okay.
Everything where you are, this way stays until you get to the escalator, top of the escalator in front of Sears. Then again, it goes.
We're explicit of that law.
That's right.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
exactly right.
Okay.
He wants to talk, y'all.
Some of the things that the developer's done and that the county and the Sheriff and the county is that basically the mall is kind of going to be flipped inside out, right? That everything that's accessed from the inside now is going to be accessed from the outside, so it's like an outdoor walkable space.
Okay.
So that the buildings you see, Scott, you can put the door right there. Like,
Can't
you'll see
hear.
the building. The bottom level of that building will have retail space on it. And then the bottom level of the mall will have retail space and also fronts the park. So while we are demolishing some of the mall, the retail space that's being added back is pretty substantial. Yeah,
Okay.
we're all sitting where Scott's finger is
Right
right
there.
now. Right in the middle of a park. Right in the middle of a playground in a park.
Okay, so a lot of it will still be here. That's great. She'll be
Yes.
happy to hear that. And is the mall going to close, like at any point in time during this? Is it gonna be like it's closed,
Oh.
can't come? I know that's a big one.
Belk here, wow. We gotta fix this plane in the air. We offered, when we purchased, we had 119 tenants. And we offered for everybody to leave so that we could start from scratch. And Belk said no. And Belk can say no. Belk is my boss. Belk is what's called, you guys, an anchor tenant. An anchor tenant means the reason this mall was built started in 79 or 80 is because Belk committed first. So that anchor has what's called deed rights while they are in that development. So everything that you see on those boards and placards, I don't all just have to get approved by you guys in Athens, Clarke County. I had to get approved by Belk. My construction process will be dictated by Belk. I will have to stop construction in November and start back in February, etc. So that's just that. But no, the mall would never close.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you
ma'am.
so much.
Good evening, Gary Rick. I live over in Huntington Shoals. I see that Boys and Girls Club is mentioned as an asset. And I've worked with them, and they do a lot of good work. As I eyeball, though, this group, I'm wondering, will there be activities and things for seniors equivalent to the Boys and Girls Club? Like, does the area code of 30606 call for a Boys and Girls Club, or is the demographics more attuned to seniors?
Yes.
It's a very nice question. So first of all, the for choice of youth organization. Youth organizations to be in our property. I served on the board of Boys and Girls Club for over 20 years. I know how they handle their business and take care of kids, so we chose them. We are planning on our existing plan that you see about 30 different food, beverage, and activity, mostly for adult. All type of retail type, bowling, pickleball, Dave & Buster's. I can say that because we do have a signed letter of intent, etc. So, you know, all these things are a little down the road because, you know, I hate saying these things and y'all leave and then I'm gonna be crucified next week for Dave & Buster's not being open next week. But that's who we have. So there will be some adult activities. And if you notice on the plan, the very far back, where the theater currently resides, is our 55 and over age-restricted community, and it will have another set of amenities for that development.
Yes, sir, thank you. Apologies for just dropping in like this. I thought this thing was yesterday, and I had to take my mother-in-law to Atlanta, and then I looked on my computer, and oh no, it's today, and I'm running late. My name is Mike Smith. I'm a business maker. I've lived in Athens about 5 years, and I'd like to say it's really the best place I've ever lived. Not that it couldn't use some improvements. I once said I'd never come here because of a bad experience taking the law school admission test. I never got into one I could afford, but I came and took it at UGA, and Broad Street ran on endlessly, and I said, that's why we need to correct 50 years of abomination called the single-use zoning, sprawl mall, car-dependent mentality. And what y'all are trying to do with this model needs to be done. I don't care how it's done, and of course, I would cooperate all I could in the details. Details never been one of my strong suites. The big picture has always been my strong suite. But I have studied development of malls as an amateur. Nobody's ever paid me for it all my life. At every place I've lived, and I still keep up. Whether it's Lynchburg, Virginia, where I lived when I was 12, which was in the 60s, at the height of the suburbanoid mall mutation in our country. I lived in a little town called Somerville, South Carolina in the 60s and 70s, which is now in part just a little sprawlopolis. Florence, South Carolina, in my teen and college years, which has done a better job of developing itself again like we're trying to do here than some of the other towns. But all my life, there was never a time. What's the question? They're all talking at once. I'm getting to the point, if that's what I'm trying to tell you. Thank you. All my life, I've seen the after effects of the negatives that you're trying to turn into positive with this project. No time in my life, whether any of these cities I just mentioned, or even Atlanta, where I came since I was a little kid, were they not working on the roads? Every time I went anywhere, they're working on the roads. And as soon as they finish working on the roads, because they fail to develop or control development along the roads, they're just as flawed as they were before we started. Well, this mall project is a good step toward correcting that mentality. You cannot undo 80 years of wrong overnight, and making it mixed use with plenty of green space, with affordable housing, not just yuppie or rich college kid housing, and a multitude of different shops. And speaking of Belk, what Belk would be most happy with is a vibrant mall that's diverse, and some of the people will shop at Belk. Malls die and anxious to leave because of the decay that you're trying to prevent with this redevelopment. So absent the details, I'm all for it, and I cooperate any way I can, and I want to apologize for being so diverted and long-winded here, but I'm on board with what it's trying to do.
Thank you so much. If you ever catch up with this soon, that's my sister, this is my brother.
Is this set concrete now? There's no turning back.
I reside in Lakeview, and when I come up to that light at Cleveland Road, I can have lunch at that light. I'm on Cleveland Road. Now, you guys are going to do all this development, you're going to put thousands and thousands of automobiles all around here, with people. This may not be a question for you, only because on English, I thought it might be, because you're the developer, I thought maybe they had U-Haul and companies. We got 3 exits right now. Cleveland Road, Huntington Road, and that exit right there. And you're going to put thousands of cars and people all in this area. You only have 3 exits, and it's already crowded. Sir, what do you plan to do? You going to put some more exits for us to get the heck out of this area, or what's the plan here?
What's part of the plan?
What part of the plan that was incorporated as we went through the process is we got 3 roundabouts that were added to the exits at the mall. And those roundabouts move traffic through faster than stops and starts. So a roundabout.
So you're saying a roundabout connects to the highway or
Well,
out the mall?
you can actually see them on the plan if you want to walk over there. They're shown. There's one at the entrance, there's one back at the back entrance to the mall, and there's one in front of it as well.
I'm talking about getting out on the highway, so we still have to go to work. I'm tired.
And then the GDOT project goes all the way past our entrance, so they're making the improvements through there. And then another condition of our rezone and our plan and the CBA is that we study and improve the red light at Cleveland Road as necessary to make it function appropriately. So all that's incorporated in the plan already.
So what's the total number of exits?
Exit number of exits won't change. We'll make improvements to get people through the intersection faster.
So you just back up traffic on the highway for people to move there and get out of it.
We gotta study all the intersections, and we gotta make the improvements to make sure that the intersections literally have a passing grade. They're rated A, B, C, D, E, F. And we're not allowed to create an intersection that fails. So we'll have to make sure that we have intersections that have a passing grade before we develop. And all that goes through the county review process.
And the houses, how high is it going to go?
65 feet maximum.
65 feet?
65 feet maximum.
65? Okay. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Benny Coleman. I have 3 questions, but one specific question. I do not want to know the percentage of how many poor people or subsidized people will be living in the development.
10% of all.
Number. How many poor people, number-wise, no percentage.
You asked about how many people or how
People
many
on subsidized.
Right. Sorry, y'all, I got to say. We cannot tell you how many people are in your family.
Okay, how many residents per unit?
We can't tell you how many residents will apply.
How
But
many
the unit what we control
Okay, how many
is how many
units?
units, 10%. So 100 and, so 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, you know, it's a mix.
Okay, the reason why I asked that question, that's a very important question for you all, is if you have a plan that will be able to allow you all to develop this mall for the type of people that really want to live here, if you take care of the undesirable low-income people who will benefit both the city and you all more. Are you willing, since you said earlier that you can't change the plan, but are you willing to listen to that proposal that will help you and help other people? Like I heard someone else say, yeah, we won't work with people based on what they're saying. They don't want no other people who are not able to work to live in this mall. So are you all willing, or are you all able to change your plan, start another plan, so you can use the percentage of the people that you were going to put in out of the 190%, put them in an area where they can live in, and then you can subsidize that area, which will give you more money for the mall.
Okay, so to answer your question about changing the plan, I think I will jump off the bridge on the highway. I'm not going back through this again. I'm too old for this. I'm done. This is my last one. So we would have to go all the way back through everything if we modify that plan by one anything. It's a planned unit development. That's locked. Nothing I can do about that. Now, the second part of that lock is what's called the community benefits agreement. That is the new thing that we talk about tonight. That is the part, I want to make sure you understand this clearly. That is the part that allows us to work with Athens Clarke County to be able to buy a mall, tear some of it down, put 6-story, the most expensive construction site on earth, pour in place concrete, wrap parking decks, high-end, like you would see downtown Atlanta, and have people living in it who can't afford to. That's what gets us there. So you can't just snap your finger and put more people. Somebody's got to pay for it.
Right,
There we go.
right. Now, are you willing to start another program without the city so you all can track more people down and still can't do it?
So, no, I'm going to answer everything you asked me. I can't change anything on my 80 acres that I own right now. I don't own anything outside the 8 acres. So I think you're asking me, will I give you my word that I will look for some land somewhere in the area and build some cheaper apartments?
Right.
That's a good question. If the land price right, that's how I make my living. That's what I do.
I mean, it seems more feasible, everybody gets what they want,
Well, let me answer that for you.
okay?
He said it seems more feasible that we would find a cheap piece of land in Athens on the highway, build some units that you can afford to rent without assistance from taxpayers or the government, and put people in them who can't afford to pay rent. That's called HUD. That's called housing projects. So the reason you don't have them is because it's impossible. Who can afford to do that? I have to feed my family. To do that, I would spend everything I've made over the last 40 years and see no return. It sounds good theoretically, but the actual fact is, if it were feasible, I wouldn't be standing here. Somebody else would already be doing it. There would be a model for it. The model is, in Atlanta, Georgia right now, on the Beltline, the city of Atlanta is doing it. The model is, in other municipalities, all over Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, Alabama, North Carolina, the municipalities are doing it. The federal government is doing it. Nobody private can do that. No one. No one.
Right. But if there was a possibility that the people that you're gonna be building them lower income house will be able to give your money back, and then you also be able to put more people who can afford this unit in this area, and is working out the plan without the city working your contract with the city.
Not possible.
Okay.
For a lot of reasons. But let me be sure I give you the why. The people who are going to live in my units and pay 60% of the AMI and could not afford to live there otherwise, I won't get paid back for 40 years. I'm 63. I don't think I'm gonna see that.
Well, I'm 69.
I don't think I'm gonna see that. I'll be 103 when they pay me back. No.
Yeah.
The math doesn't work. You've always heard it. If you know nothing else, you don't have to leave anything else on page. Numbers don't lie. And the reason no one is doing it, the reason Athens needs it, the reason we are an affordable housing desert is because you can't afford to do it. So what we're doing is trying to help with that problem. We're putting our best foot forward. We have to do it with the corporation of the Athens Clarke County government. So when the tag was approved, we saw an opportunity. Now, the first day I sat down to talk about this, I knew I had to do that. It's not a surprise. They didn't surprise me. They gave me the tag and the tag definition. I sat down and went, I think I can make that work. And that's what you see. Can't do it without a public-private partnership. And once again, everywhere else is mainly public, not private. Not possible. I wish it were. I mean, that's a Bill Gates or Elon Musk type thing he's talking about. You need somebody just come and drop, $100 million just as charity. That can, a working guy can do that.
Okay. I just wanted your honest opinion on it.
Yes, sir, thank you for that, I appreciate that.
Hey, I've actually been living here for most of my life, and I actually have family in this area, which is definitely back here. And first of all, thank you for having your patience and coming down here and, addressing all these questions and everything. I don't so much as have a question as it is of a request. Is it a way that we could possibly speed up the process with the Loop 10 exit, or more specifically on ramp, or coming off the, right here? Because there's like non-stop accidents ever since it went down to just one lane. And it's causing backup all the way down the loop, hours, all that stuff.
So, everybody heard the question, you want for the work at the intersection of Loop 10 and the Atlanta Highway. It's the GDOT, it's Georgia Department of Transportation. It is the road, that road, as well as Atlanta Highway, is a Georgia Department of Transportation for it. They're not Essex Clark County, they're not mine. So all we can do is yield to whatever they say. But road work for some reason is that way on all roads. 316, those interchanges, all of it is slowed down. I don't quite understand why. There's no way we can see it. We don't have any control.
Okay, all right, cool. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Hi, I'm Allison Huff. I've kind of been following this. I live very close by in Huntington Park. Over the years, I have followed several different versions of the proposals, and I've attended a couple of meetings. The transformation from project number 1 that was shot down, project number 2 that was shot down, and project number 3, there's very little difference to my eye about the project. Could you sort of go through some highlights of what the public amenities are for people who don't live in this place?
Understood.
And then could you also perhaps talk about the overall budget and percentages of the equity that different partners have in this project?
Sure can. So I'm gonna let John answer that. But I'll take.
You think? So there's actually a chart right back there that we brought, the one with all the icons, that lists all the public benefits that are part of this project. And, I can go through them and tell you that 25% green space is a stormwater retention facility that's taking care of a lot more water than what we're putting in there to avoid any downstream impact or to help improve the downstream impact. There's a transit station, there's miles of walking trails that are combined with bike trails.
Where are the walking trails?
They're all the way around the entire loop road. I think it's a 8-foot wide multi-use path. The gentleman was asking about amenities for seniors, so there's a continuous 8-foot wide path that goes all the way around.
And it's not a roadway?
It's a 10-foot wide. No, it's a separate path. It's 10-foot wide walking path.
Okay.
All the way around. There's 1 mile. It's 1 mile long. There are 2,500 additional trees. There's a park, green space area, 25% more open space. There's 10% affordable housing. There is a Boys and Girls Club. There's a requirement for some sort of child care facility that's in here that these guys.
Those are pretty much the things that would appeal to the people who would actually be moving there, but not to the overall community.
No, that's a child care facility for that is associated with Cleveland Road Elementary School and making sure that it's a public benefit, 100%.
Okay.
There is the requirement that we maintain the police station, a substation out here, public benefit. But, yep, the stormwater management, detention. Miss anything there, Scott? That's about it.
Okay.
And each one of those back there, we actually have a breakdown of how we get to the $186 million and what the dollars are going for in each bucket. So if you want to look at the public benefits, you can see what each one of those costs as far as the budget is.
The 186 is the TAD total contribution.
That's the TAD money that they get over a 30-year period of time right now after they build the improvement. So we have to build, as Mark said, we have to build it, and then we have to pay, Mark has to pay the taxes on it. And the only way we get any of that $186 million is if the taxes that he pays for the new improvements get to that amount. So ultimately, all that $186 million is funded through the taxes and the improvements that are built here as the tax goes up. So if we build an apartment project here and it's whatever, it's worth $100, the taxes on that are going to be $1.50 additional. That $1.50 goes into a separate bucket. Then after we built that and after we built those total improvements, we can apply to get that dollar back after we prove that we've done it and we've done it the correct way.
Okay, keeping that same $100 analogy, just to keep it simple for folks, could you give a breakdown of what the total cost of this project is likely to be, and how much equity you have, and how much skin Athens Clarke County has in it, and how much is financed?
Let me say that Athens Clarke County, the only cent Athens Clarke County has in the game are from the taxes that get paid when we do the improvements by him.
Okay. Okay, you want to realize zero, Z-E-R-O, that's what Clarke County has. Zero. Nothing. They will never have anything in it. They have no liability. They have nothing on their side. All the risk is standing in front of you, wiggling his left finger. Okay? There is zero liability to Athens Clarke County. You asked about my company. We're the levy group. There's 3 of us. One is very rich and the other 2 okay. We're 50, 25, 25. And we do not have any loans. We are 100% equity. Period. What she's asking about is, in the community benefits agreement, in the financial evaluation 2.5 years ago, we had to stipulate, what if we want to borrow the money? What if we don't want to borrow the money? That's a business decision. In this, we stipulated that we would put in 15% and borrow the rest. We did.
You asked how many have developers. I knew 3 of them because we worked with 3 of them trying to sell property on the Atlanta Highway, and Athens Clarke County was a big pain in the ass. So I feel your pain. We finally got somebody that will buy it. Okay, with that said, everybody talks about Athens Clarke County. We're Athens Clarke County. We're the taxpayer, not these guys. How much of this is coming out of our pocket in sales tax, property tax, blah, blah, blah? Yes. Bottom line, what is it going to cost us?
One more time. Tax, allocation.
I understand that, but that's already been done. Is no more coming out of that? Or are we going to have another TAB coming down the road with another 9% sales tax, a 10% sales tax, 11% sales tax, gloss?
Okay, TAD, tax allocation district. Very important that you let those.
We've done that with sales tax. That's where it comes from. All right, where does that come from? Okay, where does that come from?
I'm a little slower than you, I apologize.
Problem.
I have to do it the way I can explain it. Tax allocation district. Everybody say those words. Tax allocation district. Did anybody hear sales? Did anybody hear income? Did anybody hear anything? The property tax that I am paying on this mall right now is $1. That ain't the number, y'all. I'm just saying this for nothing.
Trust me, I know that.
That ain't the number. It's $1. Okay? On the day that we got the zoning, a year ago, it got frozen by the community benefits agreement at $1. Everybody got that? I come in and I'll spend $191 million in the first phase of my money. Athens Clark County will spend $0 by the current plan. After that first apartment building 4 is finished, CO'd, and I pay the first year of taxes, I get the difference between what it's worth and the dollar.
Okay, so our sales taxes are going up, our property taxes aren't going up.
I don't control Athens Clark County, but
Clark County, because right now I'm on a limited budget, a bad knee, a bad hip. I can barely afford my property taxes now. I can't afford for it to go up.
I know that's right. I try my best to explain it as best as I can in my non-plain, non-developer voice here. And Brad, please correct me with some of the particulars. So how it works, learned this myself. So when you have a TAD, the TAD is narrowly defined around a boundary type. The TAD is going to get through. Nothing. Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Nothing outside of the boundary that has been approved for the TAD is going to be taxed an additional amount. Not even the property inside the TAD. What he was describing is one of the benefits of a TAD is that it brings growth and redevelopment to a blighted area or an area that has not had a lot of love. And so, but every benefit that's received from that redevelopment stays inside that boundary. We can't benefit from it. That's why I said they're going to have a park, they planned a park, it's in the plan, but I am also working on a park because there's 1,200 homes. That park is going to be really crowded. And so, but District 6 residents need a separate park. There's funding already approved. But to answer your question, there will not be an increase in the sales tax, slot tax, C-SPOS, tax, anything like that. Let me give you a numerical example. So let's just say the property value this year is $200,000. And then based on market analysis, and I think our community, we approved House Bill 581, which means our property tax is only going to go up at the rate of inflation, which is great. And so let's just say that rate of inflation is a few percent. And then as a $200,000 house, your property tax goes up $2,000. That's what maybe a lot. Okay, let's say $1,000. Okay, let's pretend. Okay, so just for the example, we're going to pretend that it's going to go up, right? That increase of the property stays in the TAD. It doesn't go outside of the TAD, so it further increases the redevelopment, and expansion of the community, and it ties in with the benefit of the community.
So you can guarantee our property tax against that.
No, it has nothing to do with the TAD. Yeah, it's narrow. Now, if you say property tax is going to go up forever in the history of our life. Yes, it's going to go up. But not because of this, no.
A big development there in the back of the Classic Road, you're putting in another development. And then you're putting in a development here. Where are all the kids going to go to school?
I asked the same question. We have Cleveland Road Elementary School, which is the smallest elementary school in the city. Cleveland Road Elementary School has the smallest staff in the city, and we don't have a grocery store on that side of District 6. And I don't know when the last time we've been to Publix at the end of Mr. Bridge right there. It is always crowded. So we have some planning to do, and I trust that that's in the, like I said, I'm not a developer, but I trust that professional developers, that's part of the process, and having conversations, to negotiate and increase the benefit for the community. I'm not going to put the liability on them, but I would think.
What I'm asking is, we get all these people in, and all these people have 3 or 4 kids, or 2 or 3 kids. Where are they going to go to school at? Are we going to have to build more schools? Because that's going to cost the taxpayers more money.
It's a valid point that I don't have an answer yet, but I will do some research, further research,
individuals don't know the answer, and I'll put them answer.
And then the Atlanta highway is totally stopped. I'm coming from this way. It takes 30 minutes to get from Bogart to the end of this street down here, because if you get stopped by one light, you're getting stopped by every other light that comes down the road. Can you guys do something about that? Because you get backed up, and there's not, I mean, you can't go anywhere, nobody can go anywhere, do anything.
Like,
If you notice that, that would be a question you could just direct it to me, and I can follow up with the Transportation and Public Works Department. There may be a situation or scenario where the lights may not be seen correctly. Just something simple as that. Is that okay, Brad?
Thank you very much for being here. I do have a question just because I got confused from what you just said to what I heard in the beginning. Okay, so in the beginning, I understand that you are in phase one currently and you're demolishing. I also understood that the timeline is very fluid, so you cannot tell us when we're going to proceed, when it's going to be completed. Okay, it sounded to me like phase two was contingent upon something taking place with buildings being built and money being procured, let's say, financed in some way. At the same time, I just heard that it's all being financed, so I'm assuming your response, this group, is responsible for securing the financing. However you're going to pay for it, that's none of my business, quite honestly. But what I do have a question of is every project has risk, and every risk has a contingency plan. So the question I have is, where are we? It sounds like you are experiencing a risk has been created. And if you're not able to proceed on to phase two, it sounds like it's stuck right now between phase one and phase two, from what I understood. And if you can't proceed to phase two, does then everything halt? Do you sell the property and somebody else comes along and figures something out?
Okay, so we have not initiated phase one.
Okay.
We have not started.
Oh, I'm sorry. I understood the demolition was phase
Demolition is not in phase one. Phase one is where we actually, it's purple? Yeah, it's purple, still purple. That's where we tear down that side of the mall and put in a new regional detention pond, put in the 3-acre park, and put in and put in all those things that have no value. What they do is what they go. Understood? So no, we have not started phase one. Demolition is not a phase. Demolition is of its own. It's a separate permit. So to make sure I speak clearly, I have my building permit for horizontal, which is development of phase one. I just received last Friday my demolition permit. That's why we started on Monday. Okay? So that's not in a phase. That's just part of the job that has to be done, and we're ready and we're able to do it. Historically speaking, what you would like to do in the United States of America as a business person is leverage. You want to take your dollar and get 10 more, or something to that effect. Pretty sure most people understand that if they have a mortgage or a car loan or anything. Well, it doesn't change for us, okay? So, historically speaking, when we entered the document that you're saying, we had to put a template that we would minimally do. Minimum. Anything above that is a business decision. It's our choice. So someone else asked about it before. We have to put in 15% equity, and then we could borrow the rest. Our partner will not let us, our partner being Athens Clarke County government, will not sign this agreement without us having what's called skin in the game. Because that's where those questions that you ask come. That's how you can walk away when you don't have skin in the game. We're 100% skin today, okay? We're 100% equity today. So, as we figure out the next phase of what we were talking about, that we're working with Manager Griffin right now, of how we find a tangible place to start, that the market will agree has real value. And oh, by the way, let me make sure I say that clearly. I talked about the value for a bank loan money. But what I need to talk about is the value for the tag, because that's where the question came in. When you build for a color, and there's nothing to assess. There is no increment. You spend $100 million of tag proceeds, but you don't have an increment for the tag to assess. You gotta have liability to make that work. So we haven't started phase one. We haven't started anything other than the demolition phase. Timeline, I wish I did. I hope we get everything worked out between us this summer, for us this summer, and then we go ahead and get started. We're ready. Everything's done. Everything that I could humanly possibly do is done.
Is it possible you don't, I don't want to be a negative analysis here, but.
Anything is possible. I'm not gonna stand here.
And then what would happen? Let's say, worst case scenario, I'm sorry, I love what we're doing, it's
Exactly.
progress, you
Right.
know, but I also want to know what happens if it goes south.
Right, I will be greedy at Walmart. But other than that, yes, I will. But other than that,
That's fine.
all is ours. The model should be repossessed because if we can't get anything worked out to go forward with that plan, Lord mercy, we got to open a can of worms now. This is all I'm gonna read about tomorrow. And we gotta tell them to give us back our voting and take that tag and do whatever with it. And then we will do what business people, we will crack an egg. We will squeeze a lemon and make lemonade. I wouldn't be standing here if I didn't know how to do that.
So how much time is, well, okay, here goes the time question. How much time are you allowing before that happens?
I'm not allowing it. The ball is not in my court. It is everything to do with the community benefits agreement and the tag has benchmarks. If you read it, you will see it. So it will take care of itself. If we and them can't come together, then we go in a different direction.
Unfortunately, they're not here.
No, she's here. Commissioner?
Oh, the commissioner?
Yeah.
Oh, that's.
She called the meeting. Yeah, this is her meeting.
The commissioner and,
Well, all the commissioners and the mayor. It involves in their court. I cannot speak for them. I'm not in their meetings. I don't know what's going on. You know, that's all I can tell you about.
I think so. All right.
But those are good questions to ask them.
Well, I just want to know what's up. Yeah.
I hope nobody's recording
I'm
this.
listening right now. Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you for the questions. All great questions, by the way. All night, all great questions.
Hi, I'm Jennifer McCauley. I live in Huntington Park. Thank you so much for the meeting. Thank you for providing opportunity for current businesses to stay in the mall, the part you're going to preserve. I know you'll be planting new trees, obviously, on the property, but is there any way to salvage, preserve some of the older growth, mature trees that have canopy already? I know it's difficult with development, but if there's any way possible, particularly on Huntington Road here.
I don't know specifically about the ones that are right on Huntington Road, but most of the trees that are inside the development really are healthy. I mean, they didn't plant them in such a way that they have enough root space to grow. So if you look at the trees that are out front in the tree aisle, they're real. I mean, we're going to be replacing them with better trees and anyway, that's it. Most of the trees that are on the existing site will not be saved, but the trees that go back will be in better condition. So Athens Park County has better ordinances now to make sure that those trees have room to grow and thrive. Sure.
Hey everyone, my name is Zach. I also live in Lake Mueller. I have two, hopefully very quick questions. One relates to the public transit. I don't know if, this might not be a you question, but I know that there's a couple bus stops that are sort of in the back of the property, probably not the one next to the assisted living place, but I know in the plans there's like a transit center that's supposed to plug into the existing network. Is that going to move the bus stop up, or is it just like adding an additional stop?
That transit center is critical to the long-range transportation plans for transit in Athens Park County. Effectively, they needed that transit center to be able to get the bus to go all the way out to the county line. Okay. It's like hopping, right? Yeah, you gotta have a major hub at certain spots. So this is one of two hubs that they have to get from downtown Athens to the county line. So that'll be a major hub. There'll also be bus stops around the ring road or the malls we have planned for people to pick up there. But that was one of the critical elements of the pad that's given by the developer, that land, and also the county gets some of the pad dollars that we're talking about from his taxes that he's paying to be able to build the transit center. So that's why it's funded as part of the pad, it's public benefit.
Yeah, so it's just gonna, like, in theory, the stop there stays and the transit center gets sort of added.
The transit, have you been to the downtown transit center?
Yeah.
Like, that's what, this is a smaller version of that.
I see.
The stop itself may be somewhere else located around the property.
I see.
But this is where you get off one bus and get on another bus that's sitting right beside you to go a different direction.
I see, okay, yeah. The second one is very quick, I know you said earlier you need to build a fence to sort of sections off, like your property to the lake.
Yeah, these Lake Wheeler neighbors, I'm gonna fence that thing.
Well, is there any chance, conceptually, having a door? Just because I don't know.
Here's what I'll do for you guys. Y'all have a vote in your neighborhood association meeting, and tell me how y'all vote. Because on Monday you want it fence off the wall, on Tuesday you want it open. I can't do both.
So, all right, cool, thanks.
I will say that part of the pad also a public benefit is these guys are contributing $50,000 to a sidewalk that goes down the Cleveland Road to complete the sidewalk from your neighborhood down so you can get into the mall that way. Because there's no door in the fence, you can always walk along the public road. That's part of the pad as well.
That's why I hired him.
Hi, I'm really kind of giving some food for thought. I don't know if this idea that you so highly spoke of and how beautiful it's going to be, if this is your dream, or if this is Athens Park County Mayor and Commission dream, I don't know whose it is. I have attended future land use and then tried to put in the surveys for the county. Unfortunately, they were multiple choice questions and none of my answers were on there. So you can see I'm a little disgruntled with some things, but just a scenario, I'm not sure what population this is being built for, but there is a population out there. I used to be one, a single mom, working, okay? I would come home from work very tired, or tough, so I'm tell you get very tired. And I had 2 children to raise on my own, no help. I could not say, hey kids, let's go down to the park and play, let's find some green space. Couldn't do that. I had to cook dinner, get them back, and get them to bed. I don't see any of these housing developments that I see, the units, not homes, units that are being put up, are not very beneficial to a group of people, single parents. They need a little backyard for the kids to play in while they do their chores. And so I just think in the future, as you're making development, it may not make as much money for you, but quality of life for some people is worth a lot of money. And I just wish that would be considered. And like I said, I don't know if you can do others like that, or if this is the dream of the Athens Park County Commission.
We're definitely limited here by it not being a green field. It's not right here. So we have to work with sort of what we already have and work backwards. And B, it's 2 partnerships, my company and Athens Park County. And within Athens Park County, there's 40-ish departments, and we work very closely to like transit to get their input, and you see it all over. So we did pretty much all we can do as a private developer to absorb ideas, frustration, communication from not only the public, but our partner at Athens Park County. And I need to have all the codes and ordinances and all that strengthen some of those things and weaken some of those things, and you end up kind of where we are. So no one, I'm just like you, I bought it, I own it, yeah, but I don't have everything I want.
have to sacrifice something to get something. And that's just life. So, and to answer the question, yeah, what you're speaking of is what the gentleman spoke of earlier, the affordable housing aspect. You're asking for a different style, but it's still the same thing. See, I don't know your income, and I don't ever need to know your income.
Oh,
But
no,
if you,
I'm not even speaking about that. No, I could probably use help. I didn't ever take help.
There you go.
That's not the issue. It was the issue of how do you live when when you're in a box and you've got children that need to go out and play and you can't take the time every day. That's right.
well, in this particular plan, that's why you see, I wish it was green, but it's not. We should have covered a different side. But put the hand on that small, put the hand on the green space at the mall. Oh, there we go. Let me show.
I really truly appreciate all the questions and the enthusiasm. This is not going to be the end, but I wanted to let the young lady know behind the man in the green shirt that she is the last person. I don't want you to not come back because it went. So we're going to end after the young lady with the striped shirt on.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, well, I appreciate your coming out.
Thank you for the comment, and yes, we'll keep that in mind.
Hi, my name is Joe Breland. I'd like to expound on the questions the lady asked about the trees. I don't run through these squares, the parking lot, they're pathetic. Mercy, get rid of them. But on the back side of the mall, when people go back that way, there's some huge oak trees, magnolia trees, 40 to 50 years old. And you can't really be saying,
Now they're in the plan line. So one of the community benefits that we're doing is we're doing what we call a regional detention pond. So to be clear, the detention for our site needs X. We're building X times T. So that might affect the trees that you're talking about, I'm not sure. We can walk out there and see when we do the survey, but probably will, because there's stormwater issues that affect the neighboring sites that the Athens Clarke County government wanted to address while doing this thing.
I'm not sure about the stormwater thing, but the stormwater gets us on the other side of the road where the theaters, these trees are really close to the building. You just walk out the back door, you see them left and right.
To this building?
Yes.
Yeah. Probably gone, but I understand.
And the water retention, look at the map there, on the backside of the theater. Those trees back there, are they gonna be cut down, or are they gonna stay?
If there is path, they have to go. Yes.
And the trees do soak up a lot of water.
Right.
Okay.
I'm glad I'm last. Amen. I'm Jake White, and I've been a resident here in Clarke County for 51 years. And I'm not worried about trees right now. I love trees, and I try to save trees. The information that I've gotten is that there are going to be 2,475 units. Did I get that right?
80 bedrooms? Is that the bedroom? Bedrooms. So, let me clear that up for you. It's very confusing. I've been doing this a long time, and I love Grand Griffin. But this is the only county I work in. I work in about 100 of them in Georgia. They count their units by bedroom. Right, Mr. Brad?
For the multifamily part, they're all counted by bedrooms. So the townhouses are counted as by units.
That's what confuses me. It's not 2,000 apartments. There are 2,000 bedrooms. 1, 2, 3 equals 1.
Okay. So that just shows out how many units are going to be, because there are going to be apartments, and then there are going to be townhouses that will be considered units on their own.
Correct.
And you can have 4 bedrooms in there, or 2 bedrooms, and it doesn't matter, they'll be counted as a unit.
There will be a mix in there also. 2 to 3. Correct.
Okay. And out of that number that you've got some lost a little bit, I guess I was going to find out more information. Out of those, you said 99 to 100 are going to be affordable housing units?
Units, correct. Not
Units,
bedrooms.
not bedrooms. Units.
Now, the affordable housing ordinance.
Well, I got that down,
counts units. Not bedrooms. See, my job is easy. This stuff ain't confusing.
Right now, here in Adams Park County, you just drive around and you can see there is a drastic shortage in construction workers. And my question is, are you bringing your own, and where are they gonna live, and how many, and where are they gonna park, and they're gonna be up and down this highway, and they're unfamiliar. Well, let me back up. Are you bringing your own construction workers?
For certain aspects, yes ma'am, I've been in construction for 5 years.
Right.
I've been a developer for 40 of those 45. My company right now is doing the demo, and we'll do all the demo. My company will probably do most of the site work. We're deciding that as we speak. So my office is in Bogart, I live in Watkinsville, and everybody
Stay with
knows.
them, right?
Again,
You're gonna be staying with them.
oh yes. But when you get to vertical construction, that'll be more of a subcontractor who specializes in that particular product. So I will subcontract that to a company.
Pulling people from our town, they might.
Well, they might be downtown working, they might be at university working, I don't know where they're
I
working.
hope you can find them. Because there's a couple of buildings right now that are kind of stopped short.
Has not been a problem in my experience, and you don't want to get into that. All this, look, I'll tell you the answer, it's how you pay it.
Oh, you know that.
People follow money. So I've never had that.
It goes to the, I said. Okay, I know you're not gonna like this one. You see, in your dreams, you see an end date, you see us walking into the.
Absolutely, I dream about this stuff, I will not lie to you. I dream about it. In my dream, I'll be walking through here in about 5.5 years, and walking through with my wife, or she'll be pushing me through the wheelchair. And we will be talking about this night and how these questions help me to be better at reporting and being a better partner for Adams Park County and its taxpayers, and keeping them abreast of the progress of what we're doing. So I hope my mayor and my other commissioners are listening, because moving forward, I'm seeing what the issue is here. Look, the people with a proper plan, everybody had a chance to bite that apple last year. We can't change the plan. That's over. So as of tonight, most of the concerns are here, other than traffic, as a lifelong developer, I could put a subdivision in Appalachia, Georgia, and I'll get a complaint about traffic. There's no problem. That's the one thing, that's the buzzword. It just is. But there is a problem here. It's being addressed as we speak by the Department of Transportation. And as far as our private property goes, it will be further addressed by design and implementation of traffic circles and all. I want to make sure y'all don't miss that. Smart boy talks fast. What a red light does is it causes you to stop, me to stop, you to stop, me to stop. What a traffic circle does, no one stops. Now that's just common sense. That's just common sense. Go to the Bahamas. Whew.
Will there be an HOA included in that monthly?
So single, she actually going to be an HOA. So as rental units, we're the sole owners. So we won't have an HOA. HOA is homeowners association. COA is condo association. So we will have something for the townhouses that will work in conjunction with the entire mall property that we own, because we will maintain ownership of everything except for the townhouse lots. So there will be an agreement in place that homeowners association and my association will have delineation lines for maintenance, for pay, for trash, for whatever. So yes, we have to have it.
Part of their contract or whatever, so they would pay.
It'll be filed in the covenants. I don't want to say the deed.
It's actually, your prior commissioner was very concerned about that and the long-term maintenance of the property. So one of the conditions of the rezone and condition of the CDA was that we actually recorded the courthouse a set of maintenance guidelines that had to be maintained. And that's actually already done. So they're on record now. You can go pull over the courthouse and see everything that these guys have agreed to do until there's nothing, until it's all gone. I mean, we have to maintain it to those standards and specifications. Everything from, cutting the right of ways, keeping the bushes trimmed, everything you would normally see. Except for the Avatar County Transit spot, which is not included in that, and they're responsible for maintaining that in the way that they do. That's the only piece that's excluded, but those are already on file at the Avatar County Courthouse.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you all. Thank you so much for coming out.
I just want to say thank you so much before you all leave. I just have some parting thoughts. I just wanted to thank the volunteers that assisted me with when I called, just on anything. All of you have taken the time to come out on your busy schedules. We are all so busy, so thank you so much. Inside, this just sits outside. Everyone behind the scenes that helped prepare and set up, I really appreciate you. My husband, my family, my mom, those that came, and my number one strategist, Cameron Harrelson. I want to also thank our panelists. This is time out of their day as well. Brad Griffin, our interim county manager, John Williams of WNA Engineering, Scott Haynes, who is the Chief Operations Officer, our developer and purchaser of this property, Mr. Mark James, and he has other partners. Buck Bacon, he's kind of incognito, but he does a lot of assistance too, and Mr. Boo, who is not here today. But I wanted to leave you with this. I know many people are disenchanted with how long this has taken, and to find out that you just learned about this overnight. Some people I just found out. So there is a reason, there's an issue. This is complicated. This is the very first one. And yes, it started 4 years ago, and we are learning. But I wanted to tell you the good and the bad and the ugly, the best case and the worst case. I just received his permission, the developer's permission, to just share with you a real issue. So there are three options that we have here. We want this property redeveloped. I think everybody in the room does. But there are three options unless something else comes up. Phase one has to be developed first. And even though the developer was able to pay for the property and contents with cash, he was not expecting that. So just keep that in mind. So he has to start phase one first out of pocket. Number two, there's a possibility, I think someone said, well, you can't alter the CBA, this Community Benefits Agreement. There's a possibility that we might be able to make some concessions if there are many people that would support that. And number three, I know that there is an appetite with some. I just started, 9, 10, 11 weeks ago, so I don't know who all, but there's an appetite for a small bond for just the first phase, not the developer's responsibility, but for the Athens Park County part of the project. So I didn't want you all to think and leave here that this project's going to be put up next month. Well, I just wanted to just throw out the options, because I didn't want anyone to think this project is going to be open, the door, and the ribbon cut next month. So I just wanted you to understand what we're working with, the challenges. If you have conversations, if you want to know more, just contact me and I'll be happy. We need solutions, and we want this project developed. Thank you all for coming. Please take fruit, a beverage, and I really appreciate your time.